Hey, true readers, this is Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome to my review of X-Men Gold #1. This is the variant cover, so if you have a different cover, if you can find this one, it's a cover to get, I believe, because even it has the X right here, up in front, right there in your face, telling you, yes, this is X-Men. Look who we have on this team. Storm, Old Man Logan, Prestige, which is Rachel Gray, Leader, Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, and Colossus. Yes, Kitty Pryde was made Leader in the one-shot X-Men Prime, when Storm said she was going to step down. She wanted to step down. But Kitty Pryde said no. And so Pryde took over the role as Leader. Now, we get into the story, and first thing we see is a newscast, through several panels. And it's not a great newscast. Basically, this is the equivalent of the Westboro Baptist Church, if you know what they are. This woman is saying, why does the world hate and fear mutants? I've often had occasion to wonder, in a world of Inhumans, Asgardians, Spider-Men, and women, and all manner of enhanced individuals, what particular threat do mutants pose? Good question. The answer is the X genome, which is part of DNA. Mutants are the only phylum that spontaneously enhances. The X genome is a ticking evolutionary time bomb. It sounds a little like you're splitting hairs, Miss Nance, trying to justify what some would characterize as racial prejudice. And then this Miss Nance goes on to say, racial prejudice is based on aesthetic distinctions, skin color, or epicentric folds, for example. What I'm talking about is a condition that creates HMDs, human beings of mass destruction. Now, you can dismiss these concerns as prejudice or bigoted, but I can weather such accusations. Let me assure you, I can understand where this Miss Nance is coming from, because it's not racial prejudice. Because X-Men are all types of different colors and skin tones. Heck, look on the cover here. Storm, black lady. Old Man Logan, Caucasian. Rachel Gray, Caucasian. Kitty Pryde, Caucasian. And I still have yet to figure out what the heck Nightcrawler is. And Colossus is Russian, who turns into a Man of Steel. And no, that's not a reference to Superman. She says she can weather such accusations. My organization is hell-bent on protecting the world at whatever cost. And here on this splash page, or this double splash page, I guess, we have Nightcrawler, Colossus, Kitty Pryde, Rachel Gray, Storm, Old Man Logan. And Kitty says, to me, my X-Men. Old Man Logan says, I always wanted to say that, haven't you? And she says, like you have no idea. So this basically shows what's going to happen. Previously, in X-Men, Genetically gifted with uncanny abilities, mutants are believed to be the next stage of human evolution, where the world hates them, and fears them. Kitty Pryde has formed the team of mutant heroes known as X-Men to use their powers for good and spread a positive message of mutant kind. So, into the story. Rachel says, "Isn't Terax supposed to be dead?" And Colossus says, "So was I." "Really? When did Colossus die?" I didn't know about that." "Me too," Nightcrawler says. "Him too?" Boy, I really had a long absence from comics. And Logan says, "I hear there's a me that still is." Rachel says, "I was kinda hoping an Avenger or a champion or two would have shown up to give us a hand by now." "Quit your whining. Call the play, boss. Our ground game's not working." "Most likely because Terax controls ground." "Exactly. That's his power, and that's why we're gonna put the ball in the air. Storm and Prestige, take Stony Face for a little ride." "On it," she says. "The rest of you, let's try to keep a building from falling on us." I would have been disappointed if Rogue had left the X-Men. "Good job, Oro." "Thank you. Can you hold him aloft for a moment?" "No problem. What's your plan?" "Good plan." She basically sent a whole lot of lightning through his system. "Peter, I need you at the base of the building. Hold it up for as long as you can. Nightcrawler, can you port me and Logan to the roof?" "Yes." Poof. "But might I ask why?" he says. So then they're facing this kind of twister. Because Logan's gonna jump from here to help Storm and Prestige. "I am?" That's kind of as funny. "And I'm gonna phase the building so it doesn't destroy the whole block when it falls." "Guess I am." And so this guy, I guess that's Stony Face, receives a greeting from Logan. "Hiya!" And then Kitty says, "Your turn, Fuzzy Elf. Teleport any stragglers out of the building." "You're going to phase an entire skyscraper?" And she says, "Try not to sound so skeptical." The X-Men always have worked good together as a team. And then Stony Face says again, because I don't know his real name, "You think you can vanquish me by moving the battle to the sky? The ground is mine to command. It follows me. I am Tyros the Terrible. I am Terax the Tamer. I am somebody who talks too much. That's who you are." And then Rachel says, "Out cold. Crunch." Poof, he hits the ground. "Katya, I cannot hold it any longer." Poof. "That's okay, Peter," she says. "I've got this. In the most strange way possible." Because look at that. The entire building is sideways and phased inside another building. That is strange, even for X-Men. I'm not entirely certain. I was somewhat preoccupied with evacuating the building, but I think Kurt says Katya that Katya just phased a skyscraper and wrote it down. Where's Kitten? Storm says. I don't know why she refers to Kitty as Kitten. Maybe there was an affection that she had for her. I don't know. Heads up, people, Logan says. It's our adoring public. Sarcasm. If the Avengers or the Champions were here, they'd be cheering right now. But the Avengers and the Champions aren't here. Anybody seen Kitty? I really could use a beer. And then Logan says, you have any idea how old it makes me feel hearing you talk like that? Yes, she says. Excuse me, folks. My name is Kitty Pryde. I know I should have a code name, but I don't. I guess I'm a little indecisive. Well, she had one for the longest time. It was Shadowcat. Even after all these years, I'm the X-Men's leader. I just wanted to make sure everyone is okay. Now, if you see this here on the building, 212, that was something done by the artist. And let's see who did the art. Writer, penciler, inker, colorist, cover artist. I can't remember which one it is. Maybe the penciler? Adrian Sif? I'm not sure who it was. But the person who did this, 212, was fired from Marvel Comics. Supposedly, this has a meaning for those who practice Islam. I don't remember all the details. Anyway, this is cute. The little girl says, "I'm okay," and then it all goes downhill. The mother says, "Don't talk to it, dear." Kitty hears that saying, "It? Really? Sorry, mutant, homo superior, enhanced individual, whatever the politically correct term for your kind is these days." You can see that does not sit well with Kitty Pryde. So she responds by saying, "I think the word you're searching for is person, human being, even if you're feeling charitable. But I see that you're not. And surprisingly, I understand." So, she says, "I know it's a long way back. You've never exactly trusted us, and I know things are different after our war with the Inhumans. I know that. And I know that to the extent you've ever trusted us, we have a long way to go to rebuild that trust. But we're starting today." And so, hell of a speech, Pryde. So they're listening, and she's trying to quell their fears. Now we're back at the Xavier Institute for Mutant Education and Outreach, located in Central Park. And there's a softball game going on, and Logan is sitting with Kitty. And he said, "It's very Xavier Thanks, she says. Wasn't necessarily a compliment. You haven't changed a bit, Logan. Not true. I've gotten grumpier. And here's another part of this issue that was meant to set to mean something. This QS551 was also, I heard, put there by the same person that put the 212 in there. Supposed to mean reference something in the Quran. I can't remember the details. And here's a Nightcrawler after Peter hits that ball really good. Crack! Boof! Boof! He uses his powers to catch it. Then Peter says, "Whatever happened to the rule about not using our powers?" Because they did have that rule at one time, I think. And Storm comes in and says, "What happened to many things I'm often compelled to ask." Shem Boje Vej, and I can't pronounce that. The more they stay the same. Actually, the entire phrase is, well, you'll see it here in a little bit. Because I think Nightcrawler will quote it. Whoever coined that particular phrase must have been a mutant, she says. And you never know. I first heard it when I bought Cinderella's Heartbreak Station album many, many years ago. I always thought these games were a waste of time, but I was wrong, Logan says. Is that you, Mystique? 'Cause there's no way. Cute, he says. But I'm serious. Softball's normal, and normal's always been in short supply for this outfit. So they're just having a nice day, talking and watching the mutants play softball. Logan, are you getting sentimental in your old age? He says, "Tell anybody and I'll gut ya." "Excuse me," a voice says. And here we have some problems. Like the X-Men don't always have problems. "I'm looking for a Catherine Pryde. My name is Alex Sandstorm. I'm with the mayor's office. The city register, specifically." "Kitty, can I help you?" He says, "We're very glad your community relocated here to Central Park." "Didn't give you much of a choice, bub," Logan says under his breath. "Logan. Just flaming teleport in." "Logan. Whole school just invited ourselves. How can I help you, Mr. Sandstorm?" And he says, "I just need to give you some paperwork." She says, "I signed about a phone book's worth when the mayor agreed to let us relocate here." And Logan says under his breath, "Didn't give him much of a choice. How do you move a mansion?" She says, "What's this?" "Just an invoice for the first 6 months' lease, payments as well as property taxes for the parcel you're occupying." Yes, you guessed it. They're being charged to live in Central Park. This is for $18 million. This is Central Park. Arguably the most valuable residential real estate in the entire world, he says. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but you can see from these two panels, Kitty Pryde is shocked. Look at those eyes, flabbergasted. And Logan is processing this and then says, "Want me to call him?" That's just like Logan. So that night at the Xavier's school. Nightcrawler is watching the TV, and Storm is there behind him. They're watching that show with that Miss Nance, and they're hearing the same program. And so here's where Nightcrawler quotes the correct phrase: "The more things change, the more they stay the same." And she says, "Peter said the same thing to me this afternoon." But there's another endogram I've been considering, Kurt. One favored by Magneto. The past is prologue. And Kurt says, "I appreciate you not quoting Magneto of all people. It's Shakespeare, in fact. But what do you mean by it?" Now, it's kind of interesting to note. Here, her eyes are normal. You can see the pupils. But then when she goes to respond, her eyes turn solid white. That perhaps we're returning to our roots, our history. Perhaps after all the trials and tragedies, we are returning to what we were. Outcasts? She walks away and says, "Heroes." And now her eyes have turned to normal, because you can see the pupils. Why, Oro, that actually sounded hopeful. "Have I really been that bad lately?" she says. "Kitty told me you tried to leave the team." "I led the X-Men into war, Kurt. A losing one." "The X-Men didn't lose, my dear," he says. And then they hear her continue on with her rhetoric, and Storm says, "Didn't we?" So now, next day, I guess, in the Danger Room, there's Rachel Gray training with two others, and I'm not sure exactly who they are. Danger Room version 10.3, combat training. Santo, I guess the rock guy is Santo. I could use some help here. Do I look like I'm napping here? And that's Rachel Gray. "Hang on. I've got this." And she's got some serious powers. And then, shoom, shoom, big explosions. "Now that was just showing off," he says. "Yes, extremely impressive, Miss Gray. Please." Oh, here's her name. "Please, Hiseko. It's Rachel or Prestige, if you prefer." New code name? Kitty's idea. Colored me surprised. That girl changes code names the way other people change socks. I say something like that every now and then. Kitty thought Phoenix and Marvel Girl were too rooted in the past. She wants me looking forward. Which is a good idea. I agree with that. From what I've seen, she wants that for us, for all of us. For real, I don't know how it happened. But I'm glad she's in charge. Now, Kitty's here in the office. Actually, it's her office. Going over the books that the guy from the mayor's office gave her. And she's starting to doubt herself, because she says maybe it's not too late to go back to the Guardians of the Galaxy or be trapped in a bullet hurling across space. She's starting to doubt, because the price, what she's being asked, in the way of money is just overwhelming. And it's referring to that this used to be your desk, Professor. I think of you a lot, almost every day. I survived the experience. Then Peter comes in. Katya, do you have a minute? Just had to go and jinx myself, didn't I? So he comes in and asks if she would like to get some pizza with her, Chicago style. And in his own way, he's flirting with her. And in this scene, she says, I mean, as friends, sure, always, no problem, but you didn't mean as friends, right? He says, is it ever that simple with us? No. I love you, Peter. I always will. But I've moved on. I'm sorry. If there's any kind of God at all, someone will attack the city right now. Then boom! Rachel Gray burst in. Someone's attacking the city! Great. Now I feel like the worst person ever. So they assemble the team, and they get in the Blackbird. This time, Kurt's driving. So they head down to the United Nations headquarters there in Manhattan, where the problem is. And they go down there to assess the situation, and I have to admit, this artwork is so detailed. Just look at that. I mean, it's not just a bunch, some clumps of, circles or anything. Or it's really detailed. Somebody attacked the United Nations headquarters, so they go to find out who did it, and it's the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And this one has a, I forgot who they are, but they'll be addressed in the next issue. And if you get this issue, X-Men Gold 1, you'll see this in the back. This has some history on the X-Men, how it came to be known as X-Men Gold. So, overall, this was a really good issue. It had some drawbacks here and there, but I enjoyed it. The art was not dull. It wasn't lacking. The pacing, though, might have been a little bit off. It might have been a little bit slow, but overall, everything led to a good conclusion of this issue. But the story is not finished, of course. If you enjoyed this review, please do subscribe to my channel, Spirit Comics, and smash that bell like She-Hulk so you'll be notified of all new uploads. Also, like this review and share it with someone who you know that might enjoy it as well. Till next time, true readers.